Hey, welcome to Essential Shorts, where we take a look into the world of student ministry one topic at a time. This video is a part of a 5-part series on myths from the Barna Research Group, as shared in the book by David Kinnaman called You Lost Me. So as a short recap, let's go to myth number 1. Most people lose their faith when they leave high school. The positive reality is that when we add the nomads group with the exiled group, along with the faithful, we find that 90% of the youth who grew up with a Christian background remain faithful to Christ, even if they're disillusioned and disconnected from the church for a period of time. And myth number 2, dropping out of church is just a normal and natural part of youth becoming adults. The reality is that this type of thinking simply ignores the fact that tens of millions of young people never lose their faith or drop away from the church. So leaving church should not be considered inevitable or natural. So let's jump to myth number 3. College experiences are the key factor that cause people to drop out of church. If that statement is false, then what's the reality? Everyone who has an ear turned even slightly towards youth ministry knows the important role that college plays in shaping the spiritual journey of young Christians. But as Kinnaman reports, college is not really the faith killer that many of us, including parents and pastors, have traditionally assumed. The faith journey during the college experience, particularly in public universities, it is admittedly neutral at best, but adversarial at worst. Regardless of what your particular college experience was, it's just too simplistic to blame college for today's young 18 to 29-year-olds dropping out of church. What's the evidence? Well, for one, many young Christians begin their disassociation from the church well before they arrive on the university campus. Although the college environment is challenging for young believers, the data shows that many students begin emotionally disconnecting from the church, sometimes by age 16. The problem arises when parents and youth leaders inadequately prepare young Christians for life beyond the youth group. Do youth ministers prepare students for the challenge that they will inevitably face? Yes, absolutely. But how long do you have a youth to coach or to teach or to spiritually mentor? 7 years? 6 months? Each one is different, right? There's no cookie-cutter mass production going on in most student ministries. How honest was their spiritual pursuit? Were their parents spiritually absent or adversarial to your efforts? Were they really becoming disciples, or were they enjoying the Christian environment in a safe zone? Kinnaman points out and reminds us in his research that only a minority of young Christians are taught to think about matters of faith, calling, and culture. In fact, he says less than 1 out of 5 youth have an idea of how the Bible really ought to shape their educational and professional interest. Add to that the fact that most youth lack adult mentors or meaningful friendships with older Christians who can guide them through their inevitable questions that arise during the college years, and the problem is clear. This should at least be a reminder to us how important small groups are to healthy middle school, high school, and college ministry, even among older adults. Remember, worship is awesome, but small group shepherding is essential. Kinnaman helps to dispel the myth that the university setting is the primary culprit behind the church college-age disconnect, and we can help do the same by sharing reality in place of a myth. The bottom line is that Kinnaman and studies like his point out the fact that it's a problem of shallow faith development rather than college that is a primary disconnect culprit for the 18 to 29-year-old believers. So what can student leaders do? Recognize that the public university experience is not the enemy. 1 Peter 5:12 reminds us that the enemy is Satan, and he prowls around like a roaring lion seeking someone to devour. The second thing, increase your expectations of young people. Colossians 3 says, whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not for men. And number 3, place a premium on small group shepherding. And number 4, increase student participation at every ministry level from entry to exit. Number 5, prioritize your sermon preparation to be an excellent communicator of the gospel. Number 6, recognize the urgency and your limited access to students and make the most of it. Number 7, pursue training that helps you understand, engage, and reach the next generation. Well, thanks for watching this segment of Essential Shorts. And if I can serve your ministry in any way, please don't hesitate to contact me. If you have a problem or a question concerning student ministry in your church, let me know. I'll be glad to help. And drop me a note and share with me your success story so that I can share it with others. And remember, what you do is important in kingdom impact.